Master Your Mindset: How to Get What You Truly Deserve. Written by Kelvin Nathan. Published by MindCast Audiobooks. Your life is a reflection of your thoughts. If you change your thinking, you change your life. The mind is the most powerful tool you possess, shaping every aspect of your reality. Every thought you entertain, every belief you hold, and every story you repeat to yourself has the power to influence the world around you. This is not just a philosophical idea. It is a fundamental truth echoed throughout human history. As the famous quote reminds us, "The mind is everything. What you think, you become." Your thoughts are not passive reactions to life. They are the architects of it. They shape how you live, how you act, and how you interpret every experience you encounter. This book is your guide to mastering that inner power. Within these chapters, you will discover how to reshape your thoughts, break self-imposed limitations, transform your perspective, align your mindset with your highest goals, unlock the potential that has always been within you. When you learn to control your mind, you gain the ability to control your future. Let this journey be your turning point, a path where every thought leads to purposeful action, and every action leads to meaningful transformation. Let's begin the journey to mastering your mindset and becoming who you were truly meant to be. Chapter 1. The Foundation of Inner Awareness. Awareness is where every meaningful transformation begins. It is the quiet space between thought and action. The moment when you stop running on autopilot and start noticing what truly drives your life. Most people drift through their days without realizing that their thoughts, emotions, and choices are shaping their reality moment by moment. They move through patterns, habits formed long ago, believing life simply happens to them. But awakening to self-awareness is the moment when everything begins to shift. It is the turning point where you stop being a passenger and take the wheel of your own mind. Self-awareness is not about judging yourself or overanalyzing every detail of who you are. It is about understanding. It's about learning to see yourself clearly, to recognize your emotions, and to understand why you react the way you do. When you become aware of your inner world, you begin to uncover the roots of your thoughts, your fears, and your beliefs. This awareness gives you the power to change them, to reshape your reality from the inside out. Awareness requires stillness. In the noise of the world, it's easy to lose touch with your own inner voice. The constant pull of notifications, opinions, and responsibilities can drown out that quiet guidance that knows exactly who you are. To reconnect with it, you must learn to pause, to step back, to listen. Awareness grows in silence, in reflection, in those rare moments when you are simply present. You don't have to meditate for hours or retreat to a mountain to find awareness. It begins with simple moments of attention, when you catch yourself reacting, when you notice an emotion rising, when you pause before speaking and ask, "Why am I feeling this way?" The power of awareness lies in observation without judgment. Many people mistake awareness for criticism. They begin to notice their flaws, their mistakes, their fears, and use that awareness as another weapon of self-blame. But true awareness is gentle. It sees without condemning. It accepts without resistance. It understands that every part of you, even the ones you struggle with, has something to teach. When you bring compassion into your awareness, transformation becomes not only possible, but inevitable. Imagine your mind as a house with many rooms. Some are bright and open, filled with memories and dreams you're proud of. Others are locked, dusty, or dark. Rooms you rarely enter because they hold pain, fear, or regret. Awareness is the courage to walk through those rooms with the light on. It's not about erasing what you find, but about understanding it, learning from it, and deciding what stays and what must be released. You cannot build a new foundation without first knowing the ground you're standing on. Becoming self-aware is also about recognizing the unconscious stories that shape your life. Every person carries an internal narrative, beliefs formed through childhood experiences, societal conditioning, and personal trials. These stories influence how you see yourself and what you believe is possible. For example, someone who grew up feeling unheard may carry the belief, "My voice doesn't matter." Without awareness, that belief silently directs their choices, staying quiet, avoiding opportunities, or downplaying their worth. But the moment awareness shines a light on that belief, it begins to lose its power. You can challenge it, replace it, write a new story that aligns with who you truly are. Self-awareness transforms your relationship with emotions. Instead of being controlled by them, you begin to understand their language. Anger shows where boundaries have been crossed. Fear reveals where growth is waiting. Sadness teaches you what you've loved deeply. Every emotion becomes a messenger rather than an enemy. When you learn to listen instead of resist, emotions no longer overwhelm you. They guide you. This is the art of emotional intelligence, and it begins with awareness. Awareness also changes how you see others. The more you understand yourself, the more compassion you develop for the people around you. You begin to see that everyone is acting from their own stories, fears, and dreams. The judgment that once divided you starts to dissolve, replaced by empathy. Awareness teaches you that everyone you meet is a mirror, reflecting back something for you to learn. Sometimes they mirror your patience, sometimes your insecurities, sometimes your potential. Every interaction becomes an opportunity for growth when you are paying attention. But awareness is not a destination. It's a practice. You don't become aware once and stay that way forever. Life will constantly challenge you to wake up again and again. Some days you'll feel deeply connected and centered. Other days, lost and reactive. That's normal. What matters is returning to awareness when you drift away without shame or frustration. Like breathing, it is something you return to over and over until it becomes your natural rhythm. One of the most powerful tools for deepening awareness is reflection. Take time each day to check in with yourself. Ask simple questions. What did I feel today? What triggered me? What inspired me? What drained me? Writing down your answers creates clarity. It turns the chaos of thoughts into something tangible, something you can work with. Journaling, meditation, mindful walking, or even quiet conversations with a trusted friend. All of these are ways to cultivate awareness. Awareness is also the foundation of intentional living. When you know who you are, you begin to act with purpose instead of impulse. You make decisions aligned with your values, not with fear or habit. You start to notice when your actions reflect your true self and when they are merely responses to external pressure. This alignment between awareness and action creates inner peace. The kind of peace that isn't dependent on circumstances, but rooted in self-trust. Many people fear awareness because it exposes truths they've avoided. But facing those truths is the only way to move beyond them. Avoidance might offer temporary comfort, but it keeps you stuck in cycles of frustration and confusion. Awareness, though uncomfortable at first, brings liberation. When you see clearly, you can choose clearly. When you choose clearly, you create differently. Self-awareness also builds confidence, not the superficial kind that depends on praise or success, but a quiet, unshakable confidence that comes from knowing who you are. When you understand your strengths and weaknesses, you stop pretending. You stop comparing. You begin to trust yourself. You no longer need external validation because you're grounded in your own truth. Confidence built on awareness is the kind that endures. As your awareness deepens, so does your ability to live in the present moment. You start to realize that life doesn't happen in the past or the future. It unfolds now. Awareness anchors you here, reminding you that every breath, every decision, every feeling is part of the unfolding story of your life. When you are aware, even ordinary moments, like watching sunlight spill through a window or hearing laughter drift through the air, become extraordinary. Awareness turns life itself into a meditation. Ultimately, awareness is the beginning of mastery. You cannot master your mindset, your emotions, or your destiny without first knowing yourself. Awareness lays the groundwork for everything else: growth, gratitude, resilience, and belief. It is the foundation on which your new reality is built. The more you practice it, the more your world expands. You start to see possibilities where once there were only limits. You start to experience peace where once there was resistance. You start to live not by default, but by design. Awareness doesn't ask you to be perfect. It asks you to be honest, to look within with curiosity, not criticism, to see yourself not as broken or incomplete, but as a work of art in progress. Every insight, every moment of clarity, every time you catch yourself and choose differently, that is awareness at work. That is transformation unfolding. And so the journey begins here, not with a grand declaration or a sudden breakthrough, but with a single, quiet moment of awareness, the moment you decide to truly see yourself. Because from that moment on, nothing in your life will ever be the same. Chapter 2. Rewriting your internal story. Every person lives inside a story, a quiet, invisible script that runs beneath the surface of everything they do. It shapes how they love, how they work, what they believe they deserve, and what they fear they can't have. Most people never question that story. They think it's truth, when in reality it's a reflection, a creation of the mind shaped by experiences, interpretations, and the words of others. The story you tell yourself becomes the life you live. Your internal story begins long before you can even remember. It's written by the people who raised you, the environment you grew up in, and the culture that surrounded you. You learned what was good or bad, what was possible or impossible. And slowly those ideas wove together into a personal narrative, your subconscious script. Perhaps you were told you had to be strong, and you learned to hide your vulnerability. Perhaps you were told to play small, and you learned to silence your potential. These messages sink deep, becoming beliefs that quietly direct your life long after you've forgotten where they came from. The danger of an unexamined story is that it turns into a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you believe you're unlucky, life will constantly show you evidence to confirm it. If you believe you're unworthy, you'll reject opportunities that could prove otherwise. The subconscious mind doesn't judge. It simply obeys the story you've given it. Whatever narrative you feed it becomes the foundation upon which your reality is built. But here's the truth most people never realize. You can rewrite the story. The pen has always been in your hands. You can't change the past, but you can reinterpret it. You can look back and decide what your experiences mean, and in doing so, change what they create in your future. That is the essence of personal power, not erasing your history, but transforming your relationship to it. Every belief you hold started as a thought that was repeated until it became familiar. To rewrite your internal story, you must first identify the thoughts that no longer serve you. Notice the words you use when you talk about yourself. I always mess things up. I'm not confident enough. People like me don't succeed. These phrases might seem harmless, but they're seeds of limitation. Awareness allows you to pull them up by the roots. When you start examining your beliefs, you may uncover uncomfortable truths. Maybe you realize you've been living under someone else's expectations, or that your sense of self-worth depends on external approval. That moment of recognition is not failure, it's liberation. Because once you see the pattern, you can break it. You can choose differently. Awareness is the doorway. Choice is the step through it. The process of rewriting your internal story begins with reframing. For example, instead of thinking I failed, you could reframe it as I learned something vital about what doesn't work. Instead of I'm not good enough, try I'm still growing, and growth is progress. These small linguistic shifts begin to rewire your mind. The brain responds to repetition and emotion. The more often you repeat an empowering story, the stronger those neural pathways become. One of the most powerful tools for rewriting your story is forgiveness. Many people hold on to past pain because they think releasing it means accepting what happened as okay. But forgiveness isn't about approval, it's about freedom. It's deciding that your future will not be defined by your wounds. When you forgive yourself or others, you stop carrying the emotional weight that keeps you anchored to the old narrative. You free up space for something new to grow. Sometimes rewriting your story means confronting the voice of self-doubt directly. That voice may sound familiar. It's often an echo of someone else, a critical parent, a dismissive teacher, a past partner. It's important to recognize that those voices aren't yours. They were borrowed from other people's pain. Returning them is a part of reclaiming your own power. You can thank the lesson, acknowledge the experience, and choose to no longer identify with it. To shift your story, you must also change the questions you ask yourself. Instead of, why does this always happen to me? Ask, what is this situation trying to teach me? Instead of, why can't I get it right? Ask, what can I do differently next time? The questions you ask determine the direction of your thoughts. When you ask empowering questions, you direct your mind toward growth rather than defeat. Your new story should reflect the person you're becoming, not the person you used to be. Start writing it intentionally. Write it down if you can. Describe the kind of person you want to be, the kind of life you want to live, and the beliefs that support that vision. For example, I am capable of handling anything that comes my way. I trust myself to make wise decisions. I am worthy of peace, love, and success. Repeat these statements daily, not as wishful thinking, but as affirmations of your truth. You're not lying to yourself, you're reprogramming your mind to remember who you truly are beneath the layers of conditioning. Rewriting your internal story is not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about shifting from victimhood to authorship. Life will always bring challenges, but when you see yourself as the author, not the character being acted upon, you gain creative control. You stop asking, why me? And start declaring, watch me. Another key part of this process is emotional ownership. Every time you say, they made me angry, or that situation ruined my day, you're giving away your power. No one else controls your emotions, only your interpretations do. The story you attach to an event determines how you feel about it. Change the story, and the emotion changes too. This doesn't mean denying how you feel. It means choosing to respond consciously rather than react unconsciously. There's a subtle but profound shift that happens when you move from identifying with your thoughts to observing them. You realize that the voice in your head isn't you, it's just a narrator that's been conditioned over time. Once you separate your identity from your narrative, you create space to rewrite it. You can listen to that voice without obeying it. You can choose new thoughts that align with your desired future. Many people fear change because their old story, even if painful, feels familiar. The unknown feels unsafe, so they cling to what they know, the same excuses, the same habits, the same limitations. But safety is not the same as peace. Growth requires stepping into uncertainty. You must be willing to let go of who you were to become who you can be. To support your new story, surround yourself with environments and people who reflect your evolution. When you spend time with those who believe in growth, your mind begins to mirror that energy. When you engage with uplifting conversations, your inner dialogue follows suit. Your external world will always reflect your internal one, so curate both carefully. At times, you'll catch yourself slipping back into your old story. That's normal. The mind loves repetition. It will return to the familiar until the new pattern becomes stronger. When that happens, don't criticize yourself. Simply notice, smile, and return to your new truth. Every time you do, you're strengthening the foundation of your rewritten narrative. Eventually, the new story becomes second nature. You wake up feeling lighter, more certain, more aligned. The doubts that once controlled you start to fade, replaced by calm assurance. You begin to realize that your story was never about perfection. It was about growth, awareness, and self-creation. You are not who you were yesterday. You are who you choose to be today. The beauty of life is that it gives you endless opportunities to rewrite. Every morning you begin a new page. Every challenge offers a plot twist that can lead to wisdom instead of defeat. And every choice you make is another sentence in the story of your becoming. The power to change your life is not hidden in some distant future. It is in your hands, right now, through the words you tell yourself and the meaning you give your past. You've carried stories that kept you small, but today, you can begin writing one that expands you. So pick up the pen, forgive the past chapters, honor the lessons they taught you, and begin a new one where you are not limited by your history, but defined by your growth. Your internal story is the most powerful tool you possess, and the moment you decide to rewrite it, you reclaim the authorship of your own life. Chapter 3, The Power of Perception. Reality is not as simple as it seems. Two people can witness the same event and leave with entirely different experiences. One sees disaster, the other sees opportunity. One feels hopeless, the other feels challenged. This is the power of perception, the lens through which your mind filters every experience, shaping not just how you see the world, but how the world responds to you. Perception is not reality itself. It is your mind's interpretation of reality, filtered through beliefs, experiences, and assumptions. If your lens is clouded by fear, doubt, or limiting beliefs, your reality will appear constricted, difficult, or threatening. If your lens is clear, flexible, and open, your reality becomes expansive, full of possibility. Belief shapes experience. Consider a simple example. A student receives a low grade on an exam. One student sees it as a personal failure, proof that they are not smart enough. Another sees it as feedback, a guide showing where to improve. The event is identical. The perception is entirely different. Your beliefs create the framework for how you interpret events. If you believe the world is hostile, every interaction becomes a threat. If you believe that growth comes from challenge, every obstacle becomes an opportunity. Beliefs act like filters. They determine which information you notice, how you process it, and how you respond. Exercise. Identify one belief you hold about yourself or the world that may be limiting you. Ask yourself, is this true? Where did it come from? How does it shape what I see or feel? Cognitive bias and assumptions. Your mind has built-in shortcuts called cognitive biases, mental patterns that help you make quick judgments. These biases are not inherently bad. They evolve to protect you. But unchecked, they distort reality. For instance, the confirmation bias leads you to notice information that supports your existing beliefs and ignore what contradicts them. If you believe people are untrustworthy, you will notice every slight, every broken promise, and discount acts of kindness. If you assume failure is inevitable, you will unconsciously look for evidence to prove it. Challenging assumptions is key. Ask yourself, am I seeing this situation as it is, or am I seeing it as I expect it to be? Are my interpretations based on fact or fear? Exercise. When faced with a negative thought or interpretation, write it down. Then ask, what evidence supports this thought? What evidence contradicts it? Could there be another perspective I haven't considered? Seeing challenges as opportunities. Perception transforms obstacles into opportunities. Life will always present difficulty. That is inevitable. But your response is not fixed. A challenge is a mirror reflecting your mindset. You can view it as a threat, as a reason to quit, or as a test that sharpens your skills. Consider the story of an entrepreneur whose business failed during an economic downturn. She could have seen this as proof of incompetence. Instead, she examined what went wrong, learned from it, and launched a new business model that eventually thrived. The challenge was the same. Her perception changed the outcome. Shifting perception from threat to opportunity requires training. Start small. When something disrupts your plans, ask yourself, what can I learn here? How can I grow? What hidden possibility exists? With practice, your brain begins to search for opportunity automatically, even in situations that once felt hopeless. Finding meaning in adversity. The human mind has a remarkable capacity to find meaning in suffering. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, observed that those who could interpret their suffering with purpose were more likely to survive and thrive. Meaning transforms adversity from meaningless pain into a tool for growth. You may not be able to control the circumstances of hardship, but you can control how you interpret them. Every setback, every failure, every disappointment contains a seed of insight if you are willing to look. Pain can become a teacher, loss a motivator, and struggle a guide. Exercise. Think of a recent difficulty. Write down 3 lessons or insights it offered you. What did it teach you about yourself, your choices, or the world? How could you use this experience to grow stronger, wiser, or more compassionate? Training your mind. Perception is a skill that can be strengthened. Like a muscle, your mind grows stronger with consistent practice. Daily reflection, mindful observation, and conscious reframing are ways to train perception. 1. Daily reflection. Each evening, review your day. How did you perceive challenges? Were your interpretations empowering or limiting? 2. Mindful observation. Pause in moments of stress or frustration. Notice your automatic thoughts. Label them without judgment. 3. Reframing. Deliberately replace limiting interpretations with empowering ones. Instead of, "This is impossible," try, "This is difficult, but I can learn and adapt." Over time, these small shifts create a profound transformation. You begin to perceive obstacles as stepping stones, uncertainty as potential, and setbacks as lessons. You are no longer at the mercy of circumstances. You are a conscious participant in shaping your reality. The power of perspective in everyday life. Perception colors every interaction, decision, and experience. It influences how you interpret criticism, compliments, success, and failure. It determines whether you approach life with a curiosity or fear. By becoming aware of your perceptual filters, you gain the ability to adjust them intentionally. Imagine two colleagues receiving the same critique from their boss. One sees it as an attack, the other sees it as guidance. Their day, their mood, their actions, and even their career trajectory can diverge based on this perception alone. Perception shapes not just emotion, but reality itself. Exercise. Choose one recurring situation that triggers stress or frustration in your life. Observe how you perceive it for 1 week. Track your emotions and actions. Then experiment with a different interpretation and note the change in your experience. Choosing your lens. At the heart of perception is choice. You cannot always choose what happens, but you can choose how to see it. Life will continue to challenge you, but you have the power to filter these challenges through a lens of opportunity, curiosity, and growth. The mind that perceives clearly is calm, resilient, and adaptable. It is a mind that sees setbacks not as punishments, but as guides, not as endings, but as beginnings. Training perception is the foundation of mastering your mindset, because how you see the world directly shapes how the world unfolds for you. Closing reflection. Perception is the invisible architect of your life. By understanding the filters of belief, recognizing cognitive bias, and consciously choosing how to interpret events, you reclaim your power. Every thought, every interpretation, every shift in perspective moves you closer to living intentionally, with clarity, purpose, and resilience. Reality may be constant, but your perception of it is malleable. When you change the lens, you change the story. And when you change the story, you change your life. Chapter 4. Cultivating Emotional Intelligence. Emotions are the colors of your inner world. They signal, guide, and influence every choice you make. Yet most people live either unaware of their emotions or at their mercy. We react impulsively, let anger flare, dwell on sadness, or allow fear to dictate our actions. Emotional intelligence is the skill of navigating this inner landscape with awareness, wisdom, and balance. It is the ability to feel deeply without being overwhelmed, to connect with others without losing yourself, and to act intentionally instead of reacting automatically. Emotional intelligence begins with self-awareness. You cannot manage what you do not notice. Take a moment right now. Consider how you are feeling. What emotion is most present in your body? What thought accompanies it? Where does it originate? This is the first step, acknowledging without judgment the currents flowing within you. Managing emotions without being ruled by them. Emotions are information, not commands. Anger tells you that a boundary has been crossed. Sadness signals a loss or unmet need. Fear alerts you to potential danger. The problem is not the emotion itself, it is how often we act as though it must control us. Think of emotions as waves in the ocean. If you fight the wave, you exhaust yourself. If you allow it to rise, observe it, and then ride it with skill, you reach the shore stronger than before. Emotional intelligence teaches you to ride the waves rather than be pulled under by them. Exercise. When a strong emotion arises today, pause. Ask, what is this emotion telling me? What need or boundary does it reflect? How can I respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively? Emotional awareness strengthens relationships. Every relationship, personal, professional, or casual, is influenced by emotions. Emotional intelligence allows you to recognize and interpret your feelings and those of others. It enables empathy, understanding, and connection. People naturally gravitate toward those who can remain calm under pressure, acknowledge emotions, and respond thoughtfully. Imagine a friend sharing a difficult story. If you react with judgment or impatience, the connection weakens. If you listen, reflect, and respond with care, trust deepens. Awareness of your own emotions also prevents projection, the tendency to see your feelings in others, which can distort understanding. Exercise. Today, during a conversation, pay attention not only to what the other person says, but how they feel. Notice your own reactions. Can you respond with empathy rather than defensiveness? Balancing vulnerability and strength. Many people misunderstand emotional intelligence as either weakness or overexposure. In truth, it is a balance between vulnerability and strength. Vulnerability allows honesty, openness, and genuine connection. Strength provides boundaries, resilience, and clarity. Consider a leader in a team setting. Admitting mistakes or uncertainties demonstrates humility and builds trust. Simultaneously, maintaining composure, setting expectations, and guiding the team demonstrates strength. Emotional intelligence is the ability to be open without losing control, honest without losing direction. Reflection. Think of a situation where you avoided vulnerability out of fear. What could have happened if you allowed yourself to express your emotions thoughtfully? Conversely, consider a time you let emotions overwhelm you. How could balance have changed the outcome? Cultivating calm under pressure. Life will test your composure. Emergencies, conflicts, and deadlines will create stress. Emotional intelligence is built by practicing calmness under pressure. It is not about suppressing emotions, but responding with awareness. Techniques include breathing exercises. Deep, controlled breaths signal the nervous system to shift from fight or flight to clarity. Observation. Label your emotions. I feel frustrated. I feel anxious. Without judgment. Simply naming them reduces intensity. Pause and reflect. Before reacting, pause and ask, what response aligns with my values? Story. A manager faced a crisis at work, an error that could cost the company thousands. Panic spread through the team. She felt her own fear rising, but took a slow breath, named her emotion, and calmly guided the team through solutions. By maintaining composure, she turned a potential disaster into a demonstration of leadership. Practices to cultivate empathy. Empathy is not just understanding others, it is feeling with them without losing yourself. It begins with listening, observing, and imagining the world from another's perspective. Daily practice. Spend 5 minutes imagining what someone you interact with is experiencing emotionally. When conflicts arise, ask, what might they be feeling? What pressures or fears guide their actions? Notice how this practice shifts your responses from judgment to understanding. Empathy also requires self-compassion. You cannot extend understanding to others if you are harsh or dismissive toward yourself. Emotional intelligence and self-awareness are intertwined. The more you understand your emotions, the more capable you are of connecting with the emotions of others. Emotional intelligence in decision-making. Decisions are rarely purely logical. They are colored by emotions. Emotional intelligence helps you recognize when fear, excitement, anger, or desire is influencing your choices. It allows you to pause, gather information, and respond intentionally rather than react impulsively. Consider the investor who feels panic during a market downturn. Without emotional awareness, they may sell at a loss. With emotional intelligence, they notice the fear, assess the situation objectively, and make a strategic decision. In every area of life, relationships, work, health, emotional intelligence leads to wiser, more balanced choices. Strengthening emotional muscles. Emotional intelligence is a skill, not an innate trait. Like physical strength, it requires practice. Daily habits can reinforce it. Reflection. Journal about your emotions each day. What triggered them? How did you respond? Observation. Notice emotional patterns in yourself and others. Recognize triggers and habitual reactions. Mindfulness. Pause before reacting. Observe your thoughts and choose your response. Over time, these small practices transform the way you engage with the world. You move from reaction to response, from impulsivity to intention, from chaos to clarity. Closing reflection. Emotions are not obstacles. They are guides. Emotional intelligence does not remove challenges or pain, but it allows you to navigate them with grace, insight, and resilience. It deepens relationships, sharpens decision-making, and strengthens your connection to yourself and others. By cultivating emotional awareness, balancing vulnerability and strength, and practicing empathy, you create a life where challenges become opportunities, stress becomes clarity, and relationships flourish. Your mind becomes a stable harbor in life's storms, a place of calm, insight, and purposeful action. Emotional intelligence is not a destination. It is a lifelong practice. Every day offers a chance to notice, reflect, and respond with intention. Every interaction becomes a classroom, every challenge a teacher. The more you train your emotional awareness, the more you unlock the power to live fully, consciously, and resiliently. Chapter 5. The Language of the Mind. The words you speak, both to others and to yourself, are far more than simple sounds. They are the invisible architecture of your mind. Every sentence, phrase, and thought constructs the mental world you live in. The language you use shapes your beliefs, your perception, your confidence, and even your destiny. Consider this. When you tell yourself, "I can't do this," your mind hears a command. It begins to filter experiences to prove that statement true. It notices every obstacle, magnifies every mistake, and suppresses every opportunity. On the other hand, when you say, "I am learning and improving," your mind begins to look for solutions, possibilities, and ways forward. Words are not neutral. They are the scaffolding of your inner world. Words as mental architecture. Every thought has a shape, every word a vibration. Your self-talk builds your reality in subtle, continuous ways. Negative words create constriction, anxiety, and limitation. Positive words create expansion, clarity, and growth. The mind responds not only to logic, but to the emotional energy carried in language. Think of your mind as a house under construction. Each word you speak or think is a brick. Some words build strong walls of resilience. Others erect barriers of fear and doubt. If you want to redesign your life, start by inspecting the materials you are using, the words themselves. Exercise. Spend one day silently noticing the words you use when talking to yourself. Write down recurring phrases. How do they make you feel? Are they supportive, or do they limit you? Transforming self-defeating phrases. Most people have an internal narrative filled with self-defeating phrases. I'm not good enough. I always fail. This is too hard. These words are habits, repeated so often that they become automatic truths in the subconscious mind. The first step in transformation is noticing them. Once you identify these phrases, replace them deliberately with empowering alternatives. For instance, instead of I can't do this, try I am learning how to do this. Instead of I always fail, try I am discovering what works and what doesn't. Instead of this is too hard, try this is challenging and I am capable of meeting it. Language alone does not do the work. It primes the mind. By consistently feeding your subconscious empowering messages, you begin to change patterns of thought, perception, and ultimately behavior. Story. A young athlete struggled with performance anxiety. Before every match, he would whisper, I always choke under pressure. Over time, this self-talk became a self-fulfilling prophecy. His coach introduced a simple shift. Before each match, he would repeat, I am prepared, focused, and capable. The change did not magically remove challenges, but it reoriented his mind, reduced fear, and allowed his skills to shine. Words reshaped his internal environment, and his performance followed. The vibration of language. Words carry more than literal meaning. They carry vibration. Tone, emotion, and intention influence how words are received, not only by others, but by your subconscious mind. Angry, fearful, or doubtful words imprint stress and limitation. Words spoken with confidence, gratitude, or curiosity cultivate openness and creativity. Imagine speaking to yourself with kindness and encouragement. The mind responds with subtle physiological shifts, calmer heart rate, steadier breath, more focused attention. Conversely, harsh self-criticism triggers tension, narrow thinking, and defensive responses. Language is a tool, and vibration is the energy that gives it effect. Exercise. For the next week, monitor both the words and tone you use when speaking to yourself. Whenever self-criticism arises, take a slow breath and repeat the phrase with calm, neutral, or uplifting energy. Notice the change in your mental and physical state. Daily language shifts. Language is habit, and habits are shaped by repetition. Small, consistent changes in how you speak internally and externally have powerful cumulative effects. 1. Notice and replace. When a limiting phrase appears, consciously replace it with an empowering one. 2. Affirmation practice. Begin each day with 3 statements that reflect your potential. Example: I am capable of learning. I approach challenges with curiosity. I trust myself to find solutions. 3. Gratitude in speech. Include words of gratitude in daily language. Expressing appreciation, even an internal dialogue, shifts perception from lack to abundance. Over time, these shifts reinforce a growth-oriented mindset. Challenges are seen as opportunities. Mistakes become lessons. Obstacles are reframed as steps toward mastery. The very architecture of your mind strengthens, creating a resilient, focused, and empowered internal environment and word-shaped relationships. Language does not only influence your internal world, it shapes interactions with others. Words spoken with empathy, clarity, and intention foster trust, connection, and influence. Words that are careless, harsh, or dismissive build distance and misunderstanding. Reflection. Think of a conversation where a single word changed the tone completely. Thank you. I understand.
Let's figure this out together. The power of language extends beyond thought. It creates reality in relationships and environments.
The subtle power of questions. One of the most overlooked tools in mental architecture is the question. The questions you ask yourself direct attention, shape curiosity, and guide solutions. Consider the difference between, "Why do I fail at this?" focuses on limitations. "What can I learn from this?" focuses on growth. "How can I improve tomorrow?" focuses on action. Questions are like signposts in the mind. The more empowering the question, the clearer the path forward. Exercise. Identify a recurring challenge in your life. Write down the automatic questions you ask yourself. Rewrite them into questions that encourage learning, growth, and solutions. Observe how your perspective begins to shift. Language is a gateway to a growth mindset. A growth mindset thrives on empowering language. The words you speak determine whether you approach life with curiosity or fear, resilience or avoidance. Simple daily practices like monitoring self-talk, repeating affirmations, and using empowering questions gradually build a mind that naturally seeks growth. Story. A writer struggling with procrastination would say, I am lazy and will never finish this book. By consciously shifting to, I am learning to write consistently, one page at a time, the writer's mindset transformed. Writing became a daily habit rather than a source of guilt. Words shaped behavior, and behavior reinforced mindset. Closing reflection. The language of your mind is not trivial. It is the blueprint of your reality. Every thought, phrase, and tone carries energy that shapes perception, emotion, and action. By noticing self-defeating language, replacing it with empowering words, and attending to tone and intention, you gain the power to sculpt your mental environment deliberately. Your mind listens carefully to every word you choose. Speak with purpose, kindness, and clarity. Ask questions that illuminate growth. Replace limitation with possibility. Gradually, your language reshapes not only your thoughts, but your experiences, relationships, and outcomes. Mastering the language of the mind is a practice, a daily cultivation. Every time you catch a thought and shift it, every time you replace doubt with curiosity, every time you speak with intention, you are building a foundation for a life of resilience, clarity, and empowerment. The words you use matter. They are the invisible architects of your mind, and by shaping them consciously, you shape yourself and the reality you create. Chapter 6. Breaking the Habit of Fear. Fear is one of the most primal forces within the human mind. It is a silent instructor, an invisible boundary, and often an unseen barrier. It evolved to protect us, warning of danger and prompting caution. In the wild, fear saved lives, alerting our ancestors to predators, treacherous terrain, or looming storms. But in the modern world, fear often lingers long after the threat has passed. It becomes habitual, shaping choices, clouding judgment, and keeping potential locked behind walls of imagined danger. Understanding fear begins with noticing it. Most people mistake fear for reality itself. That tightness in the chest, the quickened heartbeat, the relentless nagging thought. These are not facts about the world. They are signals from the mind, shaped by past experience, conditioning, and survival instincts. Fear is a message, not a command. The question is, what danger is real and what danger is imagined? Distinguishing fear from intuition. Not all fear is the same. There is a profound difference between intuition and anxiety. Intuition is quiet, subtle, and often guides you toward alignment, protection, or wise decisions. Anxiety is loud, repetitive, and often disconnected from the present reality. Intuition whispers, "Pause and consider." Anxiety screams, "Stop now, you will fail." Learning to distinguish the two requires observation. Ask yourself, is this feeling calm and subtle or intense and urgent? Does it motivate clarity or avoidance? What evidence supports the danger and what evidence contradicts it? The more you practice this distinction, the more you reclaim your power. You learn to trust your instincts without being ruled by fear's habitual reactions. Exercise. For 1 week, note every time you feel fear. Label it as intuition or anxiety. Reflect on the outcome when you follow the signal. Over time, your mind will begin to respond with discernment rather than panic. Understanding fear as a habit. Fear becomes a habit when it is repeated, reinforced, and left unexamined. We avoid situations, postpone decisions, or shrink from opportunities because the mind has learned that retreat is safe. This is not weakness, it is adaptation. But when fear is no longer serving a protective role, it becomes a chain that binds potential. Take, for example, someone who avoids public speaking. Perhaps the fear traces back to childhood embarrassment or harsh critique. Over the years, the brain forms a strong link between speaking and danger. Avoidance becomes automatic, reinforcing the fear. Breaking this cycle requires conscious effort, courage, and small, deliberate steps. Gradual exposure, training courage like a muscle. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is action in the presence of it. One of the most effective ways to break habitual fear is through gradual exposure, taking small, manageable steps toward the very things that frighten you. Start small. Confronting fear does not mean diving into extreme situations immediately. Begin at the edge of your comfort zone. If fear prevents you from speaking up at work, contribute one small idea in a meeting. If fear of rejection holds you back in relationships, initiate a brief conversation with someone new. If fear of failure stops creative projects, spend 10 minutes daily practicing the skill you've avoided. Every small action builds a neural pathway of courage. Each step teaches the brain that discomfort does not equal danger. Over time, exposure expands your comfort zone, transforming fear into familiarity and anxiety into mastery. Story. A young entrepreneur feared pitching her business. Every rejection amplified the fear, creating a mental barrier she could not overcome. She started with small, low-stakes conversations, sharing her idea with friends, then colleagues, then local networking events. Each success, however minor, rewired her brain. The fear did not vanish entirely, but she learned to act despite it, and eventually, her pitches became confident, authentic, and successful. Replacing avoidance with action. Fear thrives on avoidance. Every time we retreat, procrastinate, or rationalize inaction, the fear strengthens. Conversely, action weakens fear. The simple act of moving forward, even imperfectly, teaches the brain that challenges are manageable, that discomfort is temporary, and that growth exists beyond the wall of anxiety. Exercise. Identify one area where fear has caused avoidance. Take one small action today, just enough to confront the fear without being overwhelmed. Reflect afterward. How did it feel? What did you learn? Repeat daily, gradually increasing the challenge. Cultivating awareness in moments of fear. Fear is most manageable when observed consciously. Notice the sensations, the tight chest, shallow breathing, racing thoughts, without judging them. Labeling the fear, this is anxiety, not reality, creates a pause, a space between stimulus and response. Awareness reduces intensity and opens a window for intentional action. Exercise. When fear arises, pause. Take 3 slow breaths. Name the emotion. Ask yourself, what is the smallest action I can take right now that moves me forward? Even a tiny step breaks the cycle of avoidance. Fear as a teacher. Every fear carries insight. It highlights areas for growth, boundaries to explore, or weaknesses to strengthen. Rather than resisting fear, approach it with curiosity. What is this fear protecting me from? What opportunity exists if I move through it? How can I use this fear to grow stronger, wiser, more resilient? Reflection. Maintain a fear journal. Write down each fear, its triggers, and the lesson it might hold. Record every small action you take to confront it. Over time, fear transforms from a jailer into a guide. Courage-building practices. 1. Micro-challenges. Daily, step slightly outside your comfort zone. Each action compounds into courage. 2. Visual rehearsal. Mentally rehearse confronting fears successfully. Imagine the sensations, the confidence, the outcome. Visualization primes the brain for real-life action. 3. Affirmation. Repeat phrases like, I am capable of facing discomfort, or fear is temporary. Growth is lasting. Words reinforce mental patterns and shape the subconscious response to challenge. 4. Reflection. End each day by noting one fear faced, one small action taken, and the insight gained. These reflections solidify learning and track progress, understanding the nature of modern fear. In contemporary life, fear rarely comes from physical threats. It emerges in the form of rejection, criticism, uncertainty, or failure. Yet the mind often responds as though the stakes are life and death. Recognizing this discrepancy is crucial. Fear is often exaggerated, a phantom danger designed to keep you from growth. When you observe it in context, the power of fear diminishes. Story. A man feared leaving a stable job to start his own business. His mind magnified the risks: failure, financial loss, judgment. By breaking the decision into small steps, researching, networking, creating a plan, he faced fear incrementally. Each step reduced anxiety and increased confidence. The fear never disappeared entirely, but action became a bridge over it. Daily habits for long-term fear reduction. 1. Morning intention. Begin each day with a statement of courage, for example. Today I will act despite fear. 2. Mindful pauses. Throughout the day, pause when fear arises. Observe, name, and act intentionally. 3. Gradual exposure. Projects. Identify long-term fears and create weekly challenges to approach them. Track progress. 4. Reflection and journaling. Daily review of moments of fear and courage solidifies neural rewiring and emotional resilience. Closing reflection. Fear is natural, protective, and sometimes wise, but it becomes a limitation when habitual, automatic, or misinterpreted. By distinguishing intuition from anxiety, observing fear without judgment, and taking consistent, courageous action, you reclaim control over your life. Breaking the habit of fear is not a single act. It is a journey of small, deliberate steps. Each act of courage weakens old neural patterns, strengthens resilience, and expands your world. Fear is transformed from jailer into teacher, from barrier into guide. Courage is cultivated daily through awareness, exposure, reflection, and action. Over time, a mind once controlled by fear becomes a mind guided by clarity, purpose, and possibility. Fear may never vanish entirely, but it loses its power to dictate your life. You are stronger than your avoidance, braver than your doubt, and capable of stepping fully into the life you deserve. Chapter 7. The Growth Mindset in Action. Life is full of moments that test us. Challenges arise unexpectedly, failures sting, and doubts creep into the quiet corners of the mind. How we respond to these moments defines not only our immediate experience, but the trajectory of our lives. A growth mindset transforms these trials from roadblocks into stepping stones, teaching us that setbacks are not permanent defeats, but opportunities to learn, evolve, and rise stronger. A growth mindset is not a philosophy that makes life easier. It is a lens that changes how we interpret reality. Instead of fearing failure, we treat it as feedback. Instead of resisting challenge, we welcome it as an invitation to expand. Instead of doubting our potential, we cultivate curiosity and resilience, turning self-doubt into self-mastery. Seeing failure as feedback. Failure is often the most misunderstood aspect of growth. Many perceive failure as a verdict. I am not capable, or I am inadequate. In reality, failure is information. It is a signal that something in our approach, preparation, or understanding requires adjustment. Think of Thomas Edison, who famously said, "I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Each attempt was feedback, not final judgment. He reframed failure as data, a lesson guiding him toward success. The same principle applies in everyday life. A business venture that flops, a relationship that ends, or a creative project that stalls. These experiences are not reflections of your worth. They are lessons. By treating failure as feedback, you shift from paralysis to exploration. Exercise. Reflect on a recent failure. Instead of judging yourself, ask, what can I learn from this? What will I do differently next time? What strengths did I discover through this experience? Writing down these reflections transforms emotional pain into actionable insight, turning setbacks into stepping stones. Challenges as opportunities. Challenges, like failures, carry hidden potential. They test resilience, sharpen skills, and force us to confront limitations. Yet most people see them as threats, obstacles to avoid, or sources of stress. A growth mindset reframes challenges as opportunities for mastery. Consider an athlete recovering from injury. The physical setback is a challenge, but it also becomes an opportunity to rebuild strength, refine technique, and deepen mental resilience. The athlete may discover untapped capacities within themselves, physical, emotional, and mental. Exercise. Identify a current challenge in your life. Ask, how can I view this as an opportunity rather than a threat? What skills or insights can I gain from navigating it? What small action today moves me closer to mastering this challenge? Even small reframing shifts the brain from fear-based survival mode to growth-oriented problem-solving mode. Real-life stories of growth mindset transformation. Stories inspire more than advice ever can. Consider these real-life examples. 1. J.K. Rowling. Before publishing Harry Potter, Rowling faced rejection after rejection from multiple publishers. She experienced personal struggles, financial hardship, and self-doubt. Yet she persisted, viewing each rejection not as a condemnation of her talent, but as a step in refining her work and understanding her audience. Today, her story inspires millions, a testament to the power of perseverance and learning from setbacks. 2. Michael Jordan. Often called the greatest basketball player of all time, Jordan was once cut from his high school basketball team. Instead of giving up, he used the rejection as fuel. He trained harder, learned from mistakes, and developed skills that eventually made him legendary. Jordan's story exemplifies how embracing a growth mindset can turn early failures into lasting achievement. 3. Everyday transformations. Growth mindset is not only for celebrities or athletes. In offices, classrooms, and homes around the world, ordinary people achieve extraordinary results by reframing failure and challenge. A student struggling with math may shift from "I'm bad at numbers" to "I haven't learned this yet. I can improve with practice." A new manager facing leadership challenges may approach mistakes as lessons in skill building rather than personal inadequacy. Curiosity fuels resilience. Curiosity is the engine of growth. A curious mind asks questions, explores possibilities, and seeks understanding. Curiosity turns failure into a puzzle to solve rather than a verdict to internalize. It fuels resilience, giving the mind a reason to keep going when progress seems slow or obstacles loom large. When facing difficulty, ask, "What can I learn here? How does this experience expand my understanding? What would happen if I approached this with curiosity rather than fear?" Curiosity softens the rigidity of perfectionism and self-criticism. It opens the mind to experimentation and iteration. The result is not only progress, but also emotional resilience, a confidence that setbacks are temporary and solvable. Exercise. Each time you encounter a challenge, write down 3 questions that explore it curiously. For example, what can I experiment with to improve this situation? What did I overlook that could offer a solution? How could someone else view this challenge differently? The answers you generate shift focus from fear to problem solving, from frustration to possibility, turning self-doubt into self-mastery. Self-doubt is a natural companion of growth. It signals that you are stepping into the unknown, challenging comfort zones, and attempting things that matter. A growth mindset does not eliminate doubt, it harnesses it. Self-doubt becomes a compass, pointing to areas where preparation, practice, or learning is needed. Instead of reacting to doubt with hesitation or avoidance, a growth mindset transforms it into inquiry. What skills do I need to develop? What knowledge am I missing? How can I strengthen my approach? By converting doubt into actionable questions, you move from being paralyzed by uncertainty to mastering challenges with intention. Story. A software engineer doubted her ability to lead a high-stakes project. Instead of shying away, she broke the project into manageable pieces, sought mentorship, and incrementally expanded her confidence. By confronting her doubt, she not only succeeded in the project, but also discovered leadership abilities she had never acknowledged. Self-doubt became a guide, not a cage. Daily practices to cultivate a growth mindset. 1. Reframe failure. Each day, identify one mistake or setback and write down what it taught you. 2. Curiosity. Journaling. When challenges arise, write 3 curious questions, exploring possibilities and lessons. 3. Incremental action. Break big goals into small, achievable steps. Celebrate each step as progress. 4. Affirmation of growth. Begin each day with statements like, "I am learning with every experience," or "Challenges strengthen my abilities and character." 5. Reflective review. Each week, review your journal to see patterns of growth and progress. This strengthens the neural pathways associated with resilience and optimism, the ripple effect of a growth mindset. A growth mindset does more than transform your internal world. It changes relationships, career paths, and opportunities. When you approach life with curiosity, resilience, and learning-oriented thinking, others notice. You inspire confidence, collaboration, and trust. You model the mindset that challenges are natural, learning is continuous, and success is built through effort adaptation, and persistence. In workplaces, classrooms, and families, a growth mindset creates a culture of encouragement rather than judgment. Mistakes are reframed as learning opportunities, creativity flourishes, and individuals take initiative rather than shrinking from responsibility. Closing reflection. The growth mindset is not a destination. It is a daily choice, a lens through which to see the world. Every failure, every challenge, every doubt is a doorway to expansion if approached with curiosity, reflection, and courage. By seeing failure as feedback, challenges as opportunity, and self-doubt as a tool for self-mastery, you cultivate resilience, adaptability, and unwavering confidence in your ability to learn and grow. Real-life stories, from global icons to everyday heroes, demonstrate that the mindset shift is often more important than circumstances themselves. The growth mindset transforms not only how you think, but also how you live. It turns obstacles into lessons, anxiety into curiosity, and setbacks into springboards. Each day becomes a canvas for learning, improvement, and meaningful action. When self-doubt arises, face it. When challenge appears, embrace it. When failure knocks, listen to the lesson it brings. With every conscious choice to act, reflect, and learn, you turn the language of the mind, the rhythm of curiosity, and the energy of resilience into a life defined by growth, mastery, and possibility. You are not limited by mistakes. You are not confined by fear. You are not defined by doubt. You are a learner, an explorer, and a master of your own unfolding journey. The growth mindset is your guide, and action is your proof. Chapter 8. Letting go of the past. The past has a curious way of holding on. Memories linger, mistakes replay, and regrets echo in the quiet corners of our mind. For many, the past is not a timeline of events, but a cage built from pain, guilt, resentment, and disappointment. Yet the truth is simple. You cannot change what has already happened, but you can change how you carry it. Letting go of the past is not about erasing memory. It is about releasing the weight that keeps you from moving forward. Releasing emotional baggage. Emotional baggage comes in many forms. Anger at a friend, grief over a lost opportunity, shame from past mistakes, or resentment towards someone who hurt you. Carrying these emotions is like holding a heavy stone in your hand, long after the hand that threw it at you has gone. Every step forward becomes more difficult. The first step in release is acknowledgement. Pretending the pain doesn't exist only buries it deeper. Sit with your feelings. Identify the emotions you carry. Name them. This is anger. This is sadness. This is regret. Naming them removes the unconscious power they hold. Awareness, once again, becomes liberation. Exercise. Write a letter to your past self or someone who hurt you, not to send, but to express. Let the words flow. Release resentment, anger, or guilt onto the page. The act of expression alone is often the first breath of freedom. Forgiving yourself. Many of the chains we carry are self-imposed. We replay moments where we acted poorly, made the wrong choice, or hurt someone unintentionally. Guilt and self-blame anchor us to the past. Forgiveness is not about excusing mistakes. It is about accepting that you are human. It is about saying, I did the best I could with the knowledge and resources I had at the time. Forgiveness shifts the energy from punishment to growth. It is a conscious decision to stop punishing yourself for yesterday, allowing you to fully inhabit today. Story. A man carried guilt over a failed business venture that cost him financially and emotionally. For years, he replayed every misstep, blaming himself for outcomes he could not control. One day he sat quietly and wrote a letter to himself, forgiving his choices and acknowledging the lessons learned. The weight lifted slowly, and he realized he could approach future ventures with clarity and courage rather than fear and regret. The illusion of control. A major source of suffering is the illusion that we can control everything. Life is unpredictable, and events often unfold in ways beyond our planning. Holding on to the idea that we could have done something differently traps us in a loop of what-ifs and if-onlys. Acceptance is the antidote. Accept that the past is immutable. Accept that people act according to their nature. Circumstances unfold beyond your reach, and mistakes are inevitable. Acceptance does not mean resignation. It means acknowledging reality as it is, so you can act wisely in the present. Exercise. List 3 past events that you continue to dwell on. For each, write: what I can control, my response today, my learning, my attitude. What I cannot control, others' actions, outcomes, or events. My next action, a step forward that honors what I can control and releases what I cannot. Techniques for emotional release. Letting go requires more than mental acknowledgement. It requires emotional release. The body and mind are deeply connected. Unexpressed emotions linger in tension, sleep disruption, or stress. Techniques for release allow feelings to move through rather than linger. 1. Breathwork. Slow, conscious breathing can help release tension associated with past pain. Inhale deeply for 4 counts. Hold for 4. Exhale for 6. Repeat, focusing on releasing emotional weight with each exhale. 2. Visualization. Imagine holding the emotion in your hands as a heavy object. Visualize placing it on the ground or sending it away like a balloon floating into the sky. Feel the relief of lightness. 3. Movement. Physical activity. Walking, running, stretching, or dancing helps the body process trapped energy and signals emotional release to the nervous system. 4. Journaling. Write out thoughts, emotions, and reflections about the past. Writing externalizes internal struggles, creating clarity and distance. Exercise. Pick one past memory that causes emotional tension. Apply one or more of these techniques for 5 minutes daily. Observe how the intensity shifts over time. Detachment. Observing without judgment. Detachment is a skill that allows you to hold experiences without being consumed by them. It is not indifference, it is perspective. When you detach, you see events for what they are, experiences that shaped you but do not define you. Reflection. Imagine your life as a river. Each experience is water flowing by. Some parts are turbulent, some calm, some muddy. You do not need to cling to the water. You are the riverbank, observing and allowing the current to pass. Detachment is reinforced by self-compassion. Understand that every person, including yourself, acts from the level of awareness they possess at that moment. This realization softens judgment, freeing you from unnecessary emotional weight. Freedom through acceptance. The ultimate liberation comes through acceptance. To accept is to acknowledge reality as it is, not as you wish it had been. It is to release resistance, resentment, and regret. Acceptance allows space for joy, growth, and intentional living. Story. A woman lost a loved one unexpectedly. For years, grief consumed her, dictating her emotional state. Through daily practice of acknowledgement, journaling, and compassionate reflection, she learned to honor the memory without letting it dominate her life. Acceptance did not erase the pain, but it created freedom, a life where she could feel, remember, and still move forward fully. Daily practices for letting go. 1. Morning release. Begin each day with a moment of acknowledgement. Identify one lingering emotion from the past and visualize releasing it with your breath. 2. Evening reflection. Before sleep, journal about any lingering thoughts from the day. Write them down, then close the journal, symbolically releasing them. 3. Forgiveness. Ritual. Each week, write a letter of forgiveness to yourself or to others without sending it. Express fully, then let it go. 4. Mindfulness walks. Walk in silence, noticing surroundings and observing thoughts. Allow memories to come and go without attachment. 5. Meditative detachment. Visualize yourself as a riverbank, watching experiences flow past. Practice neutrality and compassion. Closing reflection. The past can be a teacher or a tyrant. When we hold on to it tightly, it dictates the present, influencing decisions, emotions, and self-perception. But when we choose to release, forgive, and accept, the weight lifts, revealing space for clarity, creativity, and freedom. Letting go is not a single act. It is a practice, repeated daily with patience and compassion. Every time you release a resentment, forgive a mistake, or detach from what you cannot control, you expand the life you can fully inhabit. Freedom from the past is not forgetting. It is remembering without being bound. It is honoring lessons learned, appreciating growth achieved, and moving forward with openness and curiosity. You cannot rewrite what has been done, but you can write how it shapes your present and future. By letting go, you reclaim your energy, your joy, and your ability to live fully. The chains of yesterday fall away, and the path ahead opens, bright, unburdened, and infinite. Chapter 9. The Power of Visualization. The mind is a remarkable instrument. It holds the power to shape reality, influence behavior, and sculpt the life we experience. One of the most potent tools at our disposal is visualization, the deliberate creation of mental images to guide action, fuel motivation, and manifest desired outcomes. Visualization is not daydreaming. It is a practice grounded in neuroscience, intention, and emotion. When done correctly, it aligns mind, body, and spirit, turning ideas into tangible reality. The neuroscience behind mental imagery. Research has shown that the brain does not always distinguish between real and vividly imagined experiences. When you visualize an action, your neural pathways fire similarly to when you actually perform that action. Olympic athletes, musicians, and elite performers use visualization to train the brain and body, practicing movements, strategies, and outcomes mentally before executing them physically. This phenomenon, often called mental rehearsal, strengthens neural connections, improves confidence, and primes the mind for success. The more detailed and emotionally charged the visualization, the stronger the effect. In essence, visualization programs the brain to recognize possibility, to expect success, and to take action in alignment with that expectation. Reflection. Consider a time when you imagined achieving something, finishing a project, acing an interview, or having a difficult conversation. Chances are, mentally rehearsing the outcome made you more prepared and confident. That is the power of visualization at work. Creating vivid, sensory-rich visualizations. Effective visualization is more than picturing a vague scenario. It is about creating sensory-rich mental experiences that feel real to the mind and body. Engage as many senses as possible: sight, sound, touch, taste, and even smell. The more vivid the image, the stronger the impact on your neural pathways. For example, Imagine delivering a speech confidently. Sight. See the audience, the stage, your posture, the room's lighting. Sound. Hear your voice, the cadence, the applause, the subtle murmurs of engagement. Touch. Feel the microphone, the floor beneath your feet, the weight of your body in balance. Emotion. Sense the excitement, the calm confidence, the joy of connecting with others. When all these elements come together, the mind experiences the visualization as though it were reality. The body responds accordingly, reducing anxiety and enhancing performance when the actual moment arrives. Exercise. Take 5 minutes daily to practice a sensory-rich visualization. Choose one goal or skill you want to improve. Imagine it in vivid detail, adding sound, movement, and emotion. Notice how your body and mindset respond. Merging emotion with intention. Visualization is most powerful when emotion is fused with intention. Emotions act as accelerants, amplifying the signal your brain receives. Feeling the excitement, pride, or satisfaction of achieving a goal makes the visualization more compelling and the intention more concrete. Imagine a person visualizing their ideal career. Simply imagining the office or the job title is helpful, but adding emotional intensity, feeling pride, confidence, gratitude, and fulfillment, creates a neurological imprint that guides decisions and behaviors towards that reality. Story. A young athlete visualized winning a competition. Each morning and evening, she vividly imagined crossing the finish line, the roar of the crowd, and the exhilaration of success. She felt the joy in her chest, the adrenaline in her veins. When race day arrived, her body moved with precision, her mind stayed calm, and she performed as she had rehearsed, winning first place. The visualization had primed both her mental and physical state for success. Morning and evening visualization rituals. Consistency is key in harnessing the power of visualization. Two of the most effective times to practice are morning and evening, when the mind is naturally more receptive. Morning ritual. Upon waking, take 3 deep breaths and center yourself. Visualize your day unfolding exactly as you wish. See yourself handling challenges, with ease, achieving milestones, and interacting positively with others. Infuse emotion, confidence, calm, enthusiasm into every scene. Spend 5 to 10 minutes in this practice before moving into the day. Evening ritual. Before sleep, reflect on the day and identify one outcome you want to manifest. Visualize the goal in vivid detail, imagining the satisfaction and success of achieving it. Allow your body to feel the emotions associated with this outcome fully. End with gratitude for the growth and learning of the day. Exercise. Create a visualization diary. Record your morning and evening sessions, noting the goals visualized, the emotions felt, and any actions inspired. Over time, patterns will emerge, highlighting the power of consistent mental rehearsal. Visualization beyond goals. Visualization is not limited to achievement or external success. It can also cultivate emotional well-being, resilience, and inner peace. Mental rehearsal of calmness, confidence, and emotional balance can train the brain to respond more skillfully in real-life stressful situations. For instance, visualizing a difficult conversation with a colleague or loved one, seeing yourself responding calmly, assertively, and compassionately prepares you to act effectively when the actual interaction occurs. Similarly, visualizing health, vitality, or emotional balance can improve mindset, stress response, and overall well-being. Exercise. Pick an area of personal growth, confidence, patience, creativity. Visualize yourself embodying this quality in daily life. Engage your senses and emotions fully, reinforcing the mental pattern. Overcoming common challenges. Many struggle with visualization, often believing they are not imaginative, or that mental imagery is ineffective. The key is practice, repetition, and emotional engagement. The mind learns to create clarity over time. Even partial or abstract visualizations are effective when combined with strong intention and emotional energy. Another common challenge is distraction. Begin with short sessions and gradually increase duration. Use music, guided recordings, or environmental cues to support focus. The brain strengthens the pathways that visualization engages, just as muscles grow with consistent exercise. Reflection. Like any skill, visualization requires patience. Progress is measured in subtle shifts, reduced anxiety, increased confidence, inspired action, rather than immediate results. Turning visualization into manifestation. Visualization is not magic. It is an active partnership between mind and action. Seeing your goal clearly primes your brain, but manifestation requires steps in alignment with the vision. Break goals into actionable steps. Let visualization guide decision-making. Notice opportunities that align with your mental rehearsal. Combine intention with consistent effort, reflection, and adaptation. Story. A young entrepreneur visualized her business thriving, clients smiling, revenue growing, impact expanding. Each day, she acted in alignment with that vision, reaching out to potential clients, refining services, and expanding her network. Visualization created clarity, confidence, and focus, while consistent action turned the mental image into reality. Daily practices to strengthen visualization. 1. Sensory immersion. Engage all senses in mental rehearsal, not just sight. 2. Emotion infusion. Feel success, fulfillment, and gratitude in your visualizations. 3. Morning-evening routine. Practice visualization consistently at receptive times. 4. Integration with action. Allow mental imagery to inform daily steps toward goals. 5. Reflection journaling. Record outcomes, insights, and emotional experiences to reinforce neural patterns. Closing reflection. Visualization is a bridge between imagination and reality. It allows you to rehearse success, prepare for challenges, and cultivate emotional and mental alignment. By engaging the senses, merging emotion with intention, and practicing consistently, you train the brain to recognize possibility, guide action, and manifest outcomes. Your mind is a canvas, and visualization is the brush. Each image you create, each sensation you evoke, each emotion you feel contributes to the masterpiece of your life. Whether you seek achievement, growth, or inner peace, visualization transforms intention into experience, potential into reality, and dreams into tangible action. With daily practice, visualization becomes not only a tool but a way of life, a lens through which the mind, body, and spirit work in harmony toward the life you truly desire. Chapter 10. Designing a vision for your life. Life often drifts forward on the currents of other people's expectations, societal norms, and unconscious habits. From a young age, we are told what to strive for, how to measure success, and which paths are acceptable. Yet few of us pause to ask the quiet yet essential question: what do I truly want? Clarity is the foundation of a meaningful life, and without it, even the busiest life can feel empty, unfulfilling, or misaligned. Designing a vision for your life begins with listening inward, untangling your desires from the noise, and cultivating a clear sense of direction that resonates deeply with your purpose and passion. Clarity is not something that happens overnight. It emerges through reflection, through honest conversation with yourself, and through the courage to challenge long-held assumptions. Many people pursue careers, relationships, or lifestyles because they feel obligated, safe, or validated by external forces. But true fulfillment arises when your choices are a reflection of your authentic self. Your vision must spring from what excites you, what energizes you, and what makes your heart feel alive. Understanding what you truly want requires deep introspection. It is about peeling back layers of expectation and conditioning, examining each desire with honesty. Some wishes will emerge as reflections of your truest self, while others may crumble under scrutiny, revealing that they were never really yours to begin with. This process is not always comfortable. It forces confrontation with long-held beliefs, fears of judgment, and uncertainty about the future. Yet it is within this discomfort that clarity is born. Once clarity begins to take shape, the next step is to transform it into a living vision, a mental image of the life you wish to create. This vision is not static. It evolves as you grow, learn, and encounter new experiences. It is vivid, rich, and detailed, encompassing not just goals or achievements, but the essence of the person you want to become. It is not enough to envision a salary, a title, or a home. Your vision must include how you feel, how you interact with others, and the kind of impact you want to make in the world. The life you design should resonate with your core values and align with your deepest passions. The process of designing a vision is deeply intertwined with emotion. Desire alone is insufficient without feeling. When you imagine the life you want, let yourself feel the joy, excitement, and fulfillment that comes with it. Allow your imagination to inhabit the experience fully, as if it were already reality. The emotional dimension transforms your vision from a distant dream into a compelling force that motivates action. When you feel the reality of your goals in your body and mind, your actions naturally begin to align with that vision. As clarity and vision deepen, the challenge becomes translating them into daily life. Dreams remain distant without habitual action that supports them. A vision is a living blueprint, but it gains substance only when integrated into the rhythm of everyday behavior. Each choice, each decision, each small action carries the potential to move you closer to your desired reality. Over time, these small, consistent steps compound, creating momentum that propels you forward, often in ways that surpass even your expectations. The power of a clearly designed vision lies not only in the ultimate destination, but in the way it reshapes your perception of the present. When you hold a vision in your mind, every experience, every challenge, and every encounter begins to take on new meaning. Obstacles are no longer meaningless interruptions. They become opportunities to learn, adapt, and refine your approach. Moments of discomfort or uncertainty transform into signals, guiding you back toward alignment with your vision. In this way, the vision acts as both compass and anchor, providing direction and stability even amid life's inevitable turbulence. Vision is also a profoundly creative process. It invites imagination and possibility, encouraging you to transcend self-imposed limitations. It asks you to dream boldly, to imagine the life that would excite and inspire you, even if it seems improbable. Many people underestimate their capacity to shape reality because they have not practiced the art of deliberate imagining. But the mind is fertile soil. When nourished with intention and vivid mental imagery, it grows possibilities that extend far beyond the boundaries of habitual thought. Writing or visual representation of your vision can further amplify its power. The act of putting your vision into words or images solidifies it in your consciousness. It moves from abstract concept to tangible reference, a living reminder of what you are creating. Seeing the vision, revisiting it, and emotionally connecting with it regularly keeps it alive in your mind, ensuring that your thoughts, choices, and behaviors remain aligned with your deepest aspirations. This is not a superficial exercise. It is a rehearsal for reality, training the mind to recognize opportunities, notice patterns, and act decisively in alignment with the life you envision. Designing a vision also requires flexibility and openness. Life rarely unfolds exactly as imagined. Unexpected challenges, opportunities, and shifts are inevitable. A vision should be clear, but it should also allow space for adaptation, learning, and growth. Rigidity in vision can become a source of frustration, whereas a vision that evolves gracefully alongside experience becomes a dynamic guide, shaping choices while remaining responsive to reality. This balance between clarity and adaptability is essential for long-term fulfillment. Another important aspect of designing a vision is alignment with values. Goals without alignment feel hollow. Achievements without meaning leave an emptiness that cannot be filled by success alone. A life designed around your values ensures that every action, relationship, and pursuit resonates deeply with who you are. It brings coherence to life's choices, strengthens decision-making, and creates a sense of authenticity that others naturally respond to. When your vision reflects your core values, life feels purposeful, integrated, and profoundly satisfying. The process of creating a life vision is not solitary. While it begins with inner reflection, engaging with mentors, loved ones, or communities that support growth can provide clarity, perspective, and inspiration. Conversations with others can challenge assumptions, illuminate blind spots, and offer new ways of seeing possibility. Yet ultimately, the vision must originate within. It must resonate with your authentic self rather than being borrowed from someone else's expectations or ideals. As the vision crystallizes, it becomes a source of motivation, discipline, and resilience. In moments of difficulty, doubt, or distraction, the vision reminds you why the effort matters. It reconnects you with the meaning behind the actions, sustaining momentum even when immediate results are not visible. Life aligned with a clear vision is not immune to hardship, but it allows you to navigate challenges with purpose, perspective, and persistence. Ultimately, designing a vision for your life is an act of creation. It is a conscious declaration that your life is yours to shape, that your desires and passions are worthy, and that your potential is vast. It transforms passive existence into intentional living. Each morning becomes an opportunity to act in alignment with your vision. Each evening, a chance to reflect, adjust, and recommit. The vision acts as a guiding star, illuminating the path ahead and inspiring each step with purpose and clarity. When you live guided by a well-defined vision, life becomes richer, fuller, and more meaningful. Decisions are simpler because they are weighed against alignment with your deepest aspirations. Challenges are reframed as growth opportunities because the larger picture provides context. Daily actions are infused with intention because they are stepping stones toward a clearly imagined reality. In this way, a vision is not merely a destination. It is the lens through which you perceive, create, and experience life itself. The act of designing a vision is both empowering and liberating. It invites ownership of your life story, transforming you from a passive observer into the author of your own narrative. It requires courage, the courage to dream honestly, to confront fear, and to imagine beyond limits, imposed by circumstance, upbringing, or society. Yet the reward is profound, a life lived with purpose, clarity, and alignment, where choices, actions, and aspirations harmonize into a coherent, fulfilling whole. When clarity meets intention and imagination merges with action, your vision begins to animate reality. The life you once imagined becomes attainable, step by step, decision by decision, moment by moment. And in designing this vision, you cultivate not only achievement, but also a deep sense of belonging within yourself, a sense that your life is meaningful, authentic, and entirely yours to create. Designing a vision for your life is not a one-time event. It is a continuous, evolving process, a dialogue between your present self and the possibilities that lie ahead. It asks for reflection, courage, and creativity, while rewarding persistence, awareness, and alignment. Each iteration of your vision brings greater clarity, sharper focus, and more intentional action, shaping a life that is not simply lived, but consciously crafted. A life that resonates with passion, purpose, and fulfillment. In the end, the life you envision is only as powerful as the depth of your clarity and the authenticity of your desire. When you dare to uncover what you truly want, align it with your values, and breathe life into it through imagination and emotion, the possibilities expand beyond expectation. You are no longer merely reacting to circumstance. You are actively designing, shaping, and manifesting a reality that is uniquely yours. Your vision is the blueprint. Your choices are the tools. Your actions are the construction. And as you build moment by moment, decision by decision, thought by thought, you create a life that reflects not just what you've been told to want, but what your soul has always longed for. The journey of designing your vision is, in itself, an act of self-discovery, empowerment, and liberation. It is a declaration that your life is intentional, your path is deliberate, and your potential is limitless. With clarity, alignment, and imagination as your companions, you step forward fully into the life you were meant to live, guided by the vision only you can create. Chapter 11. Reprogramming the Subconscious Mind. Much of the life we live unfolds automatically. Decisions, reactions, and habits often feel like second nature, happening without conscious thought. This is the domain of the subconscious mind, a powerful, largely unseen force that governs up to 95% of our behavior. It stores beliefs, memories, and patterns learned over a lifetime, quietly guiding choices and shaping perceptions. While it can serve us brilliantly, it can also hold us back, keeping outdated fears, limiting beliefs, and self-defeating patterns alive long after they have outlived their usefulness. Reprogramming the subconscious is therefore a crucial step in mastering your mindset and creating the life you truly desire. The subconscious mind is like fertile soil. Whatever you plant, nurture, and repeat will take root. If the soil is filled with negative beliefs, self-doubt, or fear, those patterns will grow and shape your reality. Conversely, when you deliberately plant seeds of empowerment, confidence, and possibility, those patterns gradually replace old limitations. The mind cannot distinguish between vivid imagination and reality. It reacts to consistent mental input, internalizing it as truth. Understanding this is the first step toward conscious transformation. Habits are a reflection of the subconscious at work. When you find yourself repeatedly reacting in ways that sabotage your goals, procrastinating, or repeating relational patterns, it is often the subconscious steering the ship. The good news is that these patterns are not fixed. Like a well-trodden path in a forest, they can be rerouted, reshaped, and replaced. Awareness of these patterns is the gateway to change. Story. A woman struggled with public speaking for years. Despite preparation and practice, anxiety consistently sabotaged her performance. Through reflection, she realized that her subconscious held a belief formed in childhood. I am not confident in front of others. She began daily mental exercises, visualizing herself speaking with ease, repeating empowering affirmations, and meditating to calm inner tension. Over time, the subconscious accepted these new patterns, and her anxiety gradually transformed into calm confidence. One of the most powerful tools for reprogramming the subconscious is repetition. Neural pathways strengthen through consistent practice, and new beliefs require persistent reinforcement. Affirmations, carefully crafted statements in the present tense, are a simple yet effective way to feed your subconscious new messages. For example, saying, "I am capable and confident in all situations," consistently begins to replace old patterns of self-doubt. The key is emotional engagement. The subconscious responds not just to words, but to the feeling behind them. When affirmations are spoken with conviction, visualized as real, and felt deeply, they become seeds that grow into habitual ways of thinking. Meditation is another cornerstone of subconscious reprogramming. When the mind is quiet, awareness deepens, and the gap between conscious intention and subconscious belief narrows. Meditation allows observation without judgment, creating space for new beliefs to take root. During these moments of stillness, you can gently introduce empowering images, affirmations, and intentions, giving the subconscious something new to absorb. Repetition, visualization, and meditation work synergistically. Visualization allows the subconscious to experience new outcomes as if they were real. Repetition reinforces the neural pathways associated with these outcomes, and meditation deepens the connection, making the change more automatic. Over time, this combination creates a new default setting in the mind, one that supports growth, resilience, and possibility rather than fear and limitation. It is important to recognize that reprogramming the subconscious is not about forcing or controlling the mind. The subconscious resists coercion. Transformation occurs most effectively through gentle, consistent guidance, patience, and positive reinforcement. Old patterns will surface occasionally, and that is natural. Resistance is part of the process. The key is persistence and compassion for yourself, knowing that each moment of conscious practice strengthens the new pattern. Exercise. Identify a belief that consistently limits you, something you find yourself repeating mentally or emotionally. Observe it without judgment. Then create an empowering alternative statement that aligns with your goals. Visualize yourself living as if this new belief were true. Feel it in your body and repeat it consistently each day. Over time, your subconscious will adjust, gradually shifting your default mindset. The subconscious also shapes perception. Deep-seated beliefs act as filters, determining how you interpret experiences and interactions. For example, someone who believes they are unworthy may interpret neutral or even positive events as confirmation of that belief. Reprogramming the subconscious allows you to alter these filters, creating a mindset that sees opportunity, potential, and abundance rather than limitation and scarcity. The change in perception transforms reality, not by altering external events, but by altering how you respond to them. Story. A man always felt overlooked at work, believing he was destined to be unnoticed. This belief affected how he interacted with colleagues, how he presented ideas, and how he interpreted feedback. Through consistent visualization, affirmations, and meditation, he began to internalize a new belief. I am seen, valued, and capable. Slowly, his confidence grew, he took initiative, and colleagues began to notice his contributions. By reprogramming the subconscious, he changed both his inner experience and external reality. Daily habits are the physical extension of subconscious programming. What you repeatedly do reinforces the mental pathways that determine automatic behavior. By aligning habits with your desired beliefs and outcomes, you create an environment in which the subconscious naturally supports your goals. This is why small, consistent actions, morning affirmations, journaling, mindful reflection, and visualization compound over time into profound transformation. It is also important to release attachment to immediate results. Reprogramming the subconscious is a gradual process. Old beliefs are deeply ingrained, and changing them requires time, consistency, and emotional investment. Impatience can lead to frustration, self-doubt, or abandoning the practice altogether. The most effective approach is steady, deliberate engagement, trusting the process, honoring small victories, and observing gradual shifts in thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. Ultimately, reprogramming the subconscious mind is about reclaiming control over the invisible forces that shape your life. It is about shifting from reactive patterns to deliberate creation, from automatic limitations to intentional empowerment. The process cultivates resilience, clarity, and alignment, allowing you to navigate challenges with confidence and move toward the life you truly desire. Every thought, every affirmation, every visualization is a brushstroke in the canvas of your mind. With patience, intention, and repetition, you can replace fear with courage, self-doubt with confidence, and limitation with possibility. The subconscious becomes an ally rather than a hidden saboteur, guiding you toward fulfillment rather than trapping you in cycles of frustration. By consistently applying these practices, visualization, affirmation, meditation, and alignment of daily habits, you cultivate a new default setting in your mind, a mindset that expects growth, embraces challenges, and perceives opportunity becomes automatic. The life you design consciously eventually becomes the life you experience naturally. In the end, reprogramming the subconscious is not just about achieving goals or success. It is about freedom. The freedom to think, feel, and act in ways that serve your highest potential. It is the art of aligning the deep currents of your mind with the conscious choices of your life, creating harmony between intention and reality, thought and action. The journey is ongoing. Every day offers a chance to feed the subconscious with new patterns, beliefs, and intentions. Over time, what was once effortful and deliberate becomes natural, and the mind itself becomes a source of support, guidance, and possibility. This is the essence of true mental mastery, the ability to shape your inner world so that it serves your outer reality, and in doing so, to craft a life that is both intentional and deeply fulfilling. Chapter 12. The Art of Self-Discipline. Discipline is often misunderstood. Many imagine it as rigid rules, harsh routines, or a life constrained by obligation. Yet true self-discipline is not restriction, it is freedom. It is the capacity to direct your energy, focus, and intention toward what truly matters, rather than being carried along by impulse, distraction, or fleeting motivation. The paradox of discipline is that the more you cultivate it, the freer you become. When your actions are guided by conscious choice rather than reaction, you move through life with purpose and clarity. unshaken by external chaos or internal resistance. The first step in mastering self-discipline is reframing your perception of it. Discipline is not a punishment or a burden. It is a tool that allows you to create the life you desire. Every time you resist a short-term temptation to invest in long-term gain, you are practicing freedom. When you prioritize your vision over immediate gratification, you are exercising sovereignty over your mind and actions. The more you do this, the more automatic it becomes, and the more natural it feels to act in alignment with your goals and values. Many people mistake motivation for discipline, believing that strong desire is enough to sustain action. Motivation is fleeting. It waxes and wanes based on mood, circumstance, or external validation. Discipline, on the other hand, is a skill that is independent of feeling. It allows you to act consistently even when motivation fades. It is the quiet force that keeps you moving forward when inspiration is absent, when challenges arise, or when the initial excitement of a goal has diminished. Understanding this distinction is essential. Relying solely on motivation is a trap. But cultivating discipline is freedom in action. Self-discipline is built through small, consistent actions. The psychology of habit formation shows that the brain responds powerfully to repetition. Each time you act intentionally, neural pathways are strengthened, making future actions easier. Momentum is created not through grand gestures, but through tiny, deliberate steps taken consistently over time. A single disciplined choice may seem inconsequential, but compounded, it becomes unstoppable force. Consider the analogy of a river carving a canyon. Water does not cut through rock in a single moment. It works slowly, persistently, day after day. Similarly, discipline shapes your character, your habits, and your results gradually through steady effort. The key is consistency, not intensity. A daily practice, however small, has a cumulative effect far beyond any sporadic bursts of effort. Breaking the myth of motivation also means learning to embrace discomfort. Discipline is often cultivated in moments when you would rather avoid effort, delay action, or seek comfort. It is easy to wait for the right mood or the perfect moment, but mastery comes from choosing action regardless of internal state. This does not mean ignoring your well-being or pushing recklessly. It means learning to act consciously, even when resistance arises. Over time, the resistance itself diminishes as repeated action rewires the mind to expect and embrace challenge. Story. A writer struggled for years to complete a book. She waited for inspiration, believing that motivation would strike at the perfect moment. Days, weeks, and months passed. Eventually, she committed to writing a single page every morning, regardless of mood or feeling. At first, it was difficult. Her mind resisted. But as the habit strengthened, pages turned into chapters, chapters into a manuscript. The act of consistent effort, rather than waiting for motivation, became the engine of her progress. Self-discipline is intimately tied to habit formation. Habits are the unconscious routines that guide behavior, and once established, they free mental energy for higher-order thinking and creativity. Discipline works by intentionally designing habits that align with your goals. This requires awareness of triggers, rewards, and repetition. The psychology that underlies human behavior. Small habits, consistently practiced, eventually become automatic, creating a default path toward success. Another aspect of discipline is self-accountability. When you commit to your vision and take responsibility for your actions, discipline becomes a form of respect for yourself. You honor your priorities and values by following through regardless of external pressures or distractions. This internal accountability builds confidence, self-trust, and resilience. The more you exercise it, the more natural it becomes to act with integrity and intentionality. Discipline also requires strategic flexibility. Rigidity can become counterproductive. True self-mastery balances consistency with adaptability. Life is unpredictable, and circumstances may demand recalibration. The disciplined individual is not a robot blindly following rules, but a skilled navigator, able to adjust while maintaining alignment with overarching goals and principles. This balance between consistency and flexibility ensures that discipline serves growth rather than restriction. The psychological rewards of discipline extend beyond productivity. When your actions are aligned with your intentions, you experience a profound sense of agency and empowerment. Life feels less chaotic, decisions become clearer, and challenges become manageable rather than overwhelming. Discipline is not about avoiding pleasure, but about cultivating choice. The choice to invest energy where it matters most, to act rather than react, and to build a life aligned with your deepest values. Reflection. Consider your daily routine. Where are you operating on autopilot? Where are impulses, distractions, or short-term desires overriding intentional choice? Identify one area where you can apply deliberate, consistent effort, even in small ways. Observe how each choice, repeated over time, shifts momentum in your life. Discipline also shapes resilience. When setbacks occur, those with strong self-discipline are less likely to be derailed by temporary failure. They view obstacles as part of the process, choosing to continue rather than abandon effort. Each act of discipline reinforces the belief that challenges are surmountable, and over time, a resilient mindset becomes second nature. Importantly, discipline is deeply connected to identity. You do not simply act disciplined, you become disciplined. Each choice reinforces self-perception, creating a feedback loop that strengthens habits, focus, and purpose. By defining yourself through consistent action, you align your identity with your vision, turning goals into lived reality rather than distant aspirations. The art of self-discipline is ultimately a practice of alignment. It bridges the gap between intention and action, desire and execution. It is the quiet force that transforms dreams into reality, goals into habits, and potential into achievement. Discipline is freedom because it empowers you to live deliberately, to choose your path, and to act in harmony with your deepest values and vision. Over time, the effects of disciplined action extend beyond individual goals. It strengthens character, nurtures patience, and cultivates self-respect. The disciplined mind is calm, focused, and confident. Not because life is easier, but because the individual has trained the capacity to respond with clarity, intentionality, and composure in all circumstances. Discipline is not a destination. It is a journey, a lifelong practice of choosing action over inertia, focus over distraction, and purpose over fleeting pleasure. Each day offers an opportunity to reinforce the neural pathways that support growth, resilience, and mastery. By committing to consistent, intentional action, you cultivate a life in which freedom, possibility, and fulfillment are no longer abstract concepts, but lived realities. In the end, self-discipline is not about restriction, but liberation. It allows you to rise above fleeting desires, external pressures, and reactive tendencies. It gives you the ability to shape your life intentionally, to follow through on your vision, and to act with integrity and purpose. The disciplined mind becomes a fertile ground for creativity, achievement, and growth, transforming both the mundane and extraordinary moments into opportunities for mastery and fulfillment. By embracing discipline as freedom, practicing consistent action, understanding the psychology of habits, and letting small choices compound over time, you step into the art of living deliberately. You move from drifting through life to navigating it with purpose, from being led by circumstance to leading yourself. And in this journey, self-discipline is not a burden. It is the bridge to the life you were meant to create. Chapter 13. Mastering Emotional Balance. Life is a series of emotional waves. Moments of joy can surge unexpectedly, while sorrow, anger, or anxiety can crash without warning. Most people live at the mercy of these tides, reacting to every fluctuation, believing that their emotional state is something that simply happens to them. Yet true mastery lies not in eliminating emotions or pretending they do not exist. It lies in balance. Emotional balance is the ability to navigate highs and lows with grace, to feel deeply without being overwhelmed, and to respond consciously rather than react unconsciously. Emotions are not enemies. They are messengers, providing valuable information about your inner world and your relationship with life. Joy signals alignment, gratitude, and fulfillment. Anger highlights boundaries that have been crossed. Fear points to areas of growth and potential risk, while sadness often indicates what you value most. The first step toward balance is learning to see emotions for what they are, signals, not directives. By observing them without judgment, you create a space between feeling and reaction, a space where choice becomes possible. Many people confuse emotional resilience with suppression. They believe that to be balanced, they must hide feelings, push them aside, or act stoically at all times. This is not balance, it is avoidance. Suppressed emotions do not vanish. They linger beneath the surface, influencing behavior in subtle and often destructive ways. True emotional balance arises from acknowledgement, understanding, and conscious engagement with feelings. It is the ability to experience fully without being controlled by them. Emotional resilience is the capacity to recover from distress, to adapt, and to remain centered amidst turbulence. It is cultivated through awareness, reflection, and practice. Like any skill, resilience grows stronger each time it is exercised. Each moment of conscious response, choosing calm over panic, understanding over judgment, acceptance over resistance, strengthens your ability to navigate future emotional storms with equanimity. Story. A man who ran a small business often felt waves of anxiety when facing financial uncertainty. He would obsess over every number, every potential problem, and every worst-case scenario, feeling paralyzed by fear. Over time, he learned to pause when anxiety arose, to acknowledge the feeling, and to ask, "What is this telling me? How can I respond constructively?" By practicing this reflective approach, he stopped being a victim of his emotions and began using them as guides, making decisions with clarity rather than panic. Restoring equilibrium requires intentional practices that calm the mind and regulate the nervous system. Simple techniques, such as deep breathing, mindful observation, and grounding exercises create stability in moments of volatility. Even a brief pause, taking 3 conscious breaths before responding, can transform a reactive moment into a thoughtful one. Over time, these small practices strengthen the ability to maintain composure under pressure, making balance more natural and automatic. Another aspect of emotional mastery is understanding the impermanent nature of feelings. Emotions, like waves, rise and fall. Recognizing that no feeling is permanent allows you to experience it fully without clinging or resisting. When sadness arrives, you allow it to move through. When joy comes, you savor it. This awareness reduces suffering caused by attachment or aversion, creating a steady center from which you can engage with life more freely. Balance also emerges from self-compassion. Many people judge themselves for feeling certain emotions, particularly those deemed negative or socially undesirable. This judgment amplifies emotional intensity, creating a cycle of self-criticism and resistance. By cultivating kindness toward yourself, you soften the inner dialogue and create a safe space for emotions to be expressed and processed. Self-compassion is not indulgence. It is the foundation for clarity, stability, and inner peace. Reflection. Notice how you respond to emotional triggers. Do you react immediately, suppress, or overanalyze? Begin to observe without judgment. Ask yourself what each emotion is trying to communicate. Over time, you will notice a shift. Emotions become guides rather than obstacles, and clarity arises naturally from understanding rather than suppression. Emotional balance also strengthens relationships. When you are attuned to your own emotional state, you interact with others more consciously. You are less likely to project fears, insecurities, or unresolved pain onto others. Your communication becomes clearer, your empathy sharper, and your capacity for connection deeper. Balance is contagious. The steadiness within you influences the emotional climate around you, creating harmony in both personal and professional spheres. Life's challenges often test emotional balance. Setbacks, criticism, loss, and unexpected change are inevitable. Those who have cultivated equilibrium are able to approach difficulties with perspective, making decisions from a place of clarity rather than reactivity. They understand that adversity is not inherently negative. It is an opportunity to practice resilience, to refine judgment, and to deepen self-understanding. Emotional balance transforms challenges from threats into opportunities for growth. Exercise. When a strong emotion arises, pause and identify it without labeling it as good or bad. Observe where it manifests physically, what thoughts accompany it, and what message it may carry. Breathe deeply, allowing the feeling to exist fully without acting impulsively. Then choose your response consciously, guided by clarity and alignment with your values. Repeating this process strengthens the mind's capacity for balance and discernment. The path to emotional mastery is not about perfection. It is about practice and presence. Even small steps toward awareness and conscious response create ripple effects over time. The more you engage with emotions thoughtfully, the less they control you, and the more your inner life becomes a source of strength rather than instability. Balance also fosters insight. In a calm, centered state, decision-making improves. The mind is able to evaluate situations objectively, free from the distortions of extreme emotional highs or lows. You see options clearly, anticipate consequences accurately, and act in alignment with both long-term goals and immediate needs. Emotional equilibrium enhances not only well-being, but effectiveness in every aspect of life. Ultimately, mastering emotional balance is an act of integration. It unites awareness with experience, thought with feeling, and self-knowledge with action. Emotions are no longer forces to be fought or suppressed. They are allies in understanding and navigating life. Balance allows for the full spectrum of human experience, embracing both joy and sorrow, courage and vulnerability, excitement and calm. Story. A woman in a high-pressure corporate role often felt drained and reactive, bouncing between stress and bursts of energy. She began a daily practice of observing her emotions, journaling reflections, and taking short, mindful pauses throughout the day. Gradually, she noticed she could respond to meetings and challenges without the spikes of frustration or anxiety that previously dominated her experience. Her relationships with colleagues improved, her decision-making sharpened, and she felt a newfound sense of inner stability. Emotional balance, she realized, was not the absence of challenge, but the ability to move through it with grace. As you cultivate emotional balance, life becomes less a series of uncontrollable events and more a flow in which you are fully present. You begin to recognize that you cannot dictate every outcome, but you can govern how you respond. You discover a steady center from which clarity, creativity, and resilience naturally arise. Life's turbulence no longer overwhelms you. It becomes a dance in which you move skillfully, guided by awareness rather than reaction. In the end, emotional mastery is freedom, the freedom to feel deeply without being consumed, to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively, and to live with calm clarity amid life's unpredictability. It is a journey, not a destination, requiring practice, patience, and self-compassion. Each moment of conscious engagement with your emotions strengthens your capacity for equilibrium, transforming internal turbulence into serenity, insight, and empowerment. When emotional balance becomes habitual, your life transforms in profound ways. Decisions are clearer, relationships are healthier, challenges are approached with perspective, and joy is fully savored. You become a master of your inner world, and in mastering this inner landscape, you gain the capacity to navigate the outer world with clarity, confidence, and peace. Chapter 14. The energy of positivity. Positivity is often misunderstood as a naive, superficial trait, a simple, smiling-through-it-all mentality that ignores the challenges of life. In truth, positivity is strategic, deliberate, and profoundly powerful. It is an energy that shapes perception, influences action, and attracts outcomes aligned with your intentions. The science of positive psychology shows that optimism, gratitude, and constructive focus not only improve emotional well-being, but also rewire the brain, creating lasting benefits for both the mind and body. Positivity is not about ignoring reality. It is about choosing to engage with it in a way that amplifies opportunity, resilience, and growth. The energy of positivity begins within. Your internal state radiates outward, influencing both your perception of life and the reactions of those around you. A positive mindset is not the denial of challenges, but the ability to approach them with curiosity, creativity, and hope. Optimism allows you to see possibilities where others see obstacles, to recognize solutions rather than being consumed by problems. This internal energy shapes your behavior, your decisions, and the quality of your interactions with the world. Gratitude is one of the most powerful mechanisms for cultivating positivity. When you focus on what is going well in your life, however small, you shift neural pathways away from negativity and toward abundance. Studies in neuroscience reveal that regularly practicing gratitude strengthens areas of the brain associated with reward, motivation, and empathy. Gratitude is not wishful thinking. It is a form of mental training that primes the mind to notice opportunity, joy, and support, rather than dwelling on lack or limitation. Story. A young entrepreneur faced repeated setbacks in his startup. Initially, he fixated on failures, lost opportunities, and the difficulties of the market. Every disappointment felt like confirmation that success was unlikely. Over time, he began a daily practice of gratitude, acknowledging the small victories, support of colleagues, a new lead, a completed task. This shift transformed his perspective. Challenges became lessons, Failures became feedback, and he noticed opportunities he had previously overlooked. His energy changed, his actions became more aligned, and his business began to grow. Positivity, cultivated intentionally, had rewired his approach to life and work. Positivity is contagious. The energy you bring into interactions influences the emotional climate around you. When you engage with optimism, encouragement, and constructive focus, others respond in kind. Relationships flourish, collaboration improves, and your environment becomes supportive rather than draining. Conversely, persistent negativity can create tension, resistance, and stagnation, reinforcing the very problems you wish to escape. Being mindful of your energy is therefore both a personal practice and a social strategy, shaping outcomes on multiple levels. Creating an environment that supports positivity is crucial. This includes the people you surround yourself with, the spaces you inhabit, and the habits you cultivate. Surrounding yourself with uplifting, motivated, and inspiring individuals elevates your own mindset, while environments filled with clutter, negativity, or constant stress can drain your energy and reinforce limiting beliefs. Intentional selection of your surroundings is a form of self-care and strategic positioning, amplifying your capacity to maintain an optimistic outlook. Positivity also enhances resilience. When faced with setbacks, a positive mindset does not deny reality, but reframes it. Challenges are seen as opportunities to learn, grow, and adapt. Optimism fuels persistence, encouraging you to keep moving forward even when immediate results are not visible. It transforms failure from a source of discouragement into a stepping stone toward mastery. Those who cultivate positive energy do not avoid difficulty. They engage with it intelligently, guided by hope, creativity, and strategic focus. The brain itself responds to positivity. Neuroscience demonstrates that optimism and gratitude activate neural networks associated with reward, motivation, and emotional regulation. Repeated practice of positive thinking strengthens these networks, creating a mental default that prioritizes possibility, solution, and well-being over fear, doubt, and limitation. This is why small, consistent practices, morning reflections, gratitude journaling, mindful appreciation, can have profound long-term effects on both mental and emotional health. Exercise. Begin each day by identifying 3 things you are grateful for, no matter how small. Visualize them. Feel appreciation in your body and reflect on the impact they have on your life. Over time, this practice shifts your attention from scarcity to abundance, rewiring your brain to notice opportunity, support, and joy in every situation. Positivity is not about ignoring pain or avoiding difficult emotions. It is about cultivating a perspective that integrates both challenge and hope. When grief, frustration, or fear arises, positive energy allows you to process these feelings without being consumed by them. You acknowledge reality while consciously choosing focus, action, and interpretation that serve growth. It is a balance between presence and intentionality, awareness and choice. Story. A woman recovering from a difficult divorce could have succumbed to bitterness and self-pity. Instead, she practiced intentional positivity, focusing on new opportunities for personal growth, friendships, and creative expression. She reframed past pain as lessons, sought out supportive communities, and nurtured gratitude daily. Over time, her energy shifted, her relationships improved, and she found fulfillment in ways she could not have imagined if consumed by negativity. Positivity became both her shield and her compass, guiding her through transition with clarity and strength. Positivity is also strategic because it shapes action. Optimism is not wishful thinking. It fuels the confidence and courage needed to take risks, pursue goals, and navigate uncertainty. The energy you cultivate internally influences the choices you make externally. A positive mindset fosters persistence, creative problem-solving, and constructive engagement with challenges. It becomes a self-reinforcing cycle. Positivity begets action, action begets results, and results reinforce positivity. Gratitude and optimism also enhance decision-making. When the mind is open, balanced, and energized by hope, clarity emerges. You are less likely to be paralyzed by fear, doubt, or pessimism. You can evaluate situations objectively, identify opportunities, and take calculated action. Positivity enhances cognitive flexibility, creativity, and problem-solving skills, making it both an emotional and practical tool. Ultimately, the energy of positivity transforms the way you experience life. It changes perception, strengthens resilience, amplifies relationships, and rewires the brain. It is not a superficial fix, but a profound shift in how you engage with reality. By consciously cultivating gratitude, surrounding yourself with uplifting influences, and choosing optimism in the face of challenge, you create a life that is not only more fulfilling, but also more aligned with your potential. Positivity is a daily practice, a choice made moment by moment. It is reinforced through reflection, intentional action, and consistent attention to the quality of your thoughts, feelings, and surroundings. The more consistently you engage with this energy, the more automatic it becomes, and the more your life transforms. Challenges remain, obstacles arise, and setbacks occur. But with positivity as your foundation, you navigate them with clarity, courage, and resilience. In the end, cultivating positive energy is an act of empowerment. It is the conscious decision to shape your perception, influence your environment, and respond to life in ways that support growth and fulfillment. It is freedom from the gravitational pull of negativity, the ability to choose perspective over circumstance, and the capacity to experience life with openness, gratitude, and hope. Positivity, when embraced fully, becomes a force that attracts opportunity, aligns intention with action, and transforms perception. It is the energy that allows you to create a life not merely endured, but fully lived. It is the deliberate choice to see the world as a place of possibility, and in doing so, to bring forth the life you truly deserve. Chapter 15. Living with Purpose and Intention. Life without purpose can feel like wandering in a dense fog, moving from one day to the next without clarity or direction. Many drift through routines, obligations, and distractions, believing that meaning is something external to be discovered, rather than an inner compass to be awakened. Purpose is not simply a goal, an achievement, or a title. It is the guiding force that gives every action, thought, and decision coherence. It is the why behind everything you do, the underlying current that transforms mundane activity into meaningful motion. Living with intention begins with self-reflection. It requires you to pause and ask the difficult questions. What matters most to me? What legacy do I want to leave? Which actions truly align with who I am and who I want to become? Discovering purpose is not always instant. It often emerges slowly, shaped by experiences, trials, values, and insights gained over time. Yet once uncovered, it provides clarity that infuses even ordinary moments with significance. Purpose is intimately tied to meaning. When your daily actions reflect your core values, life feels coherent. Every choice, from the smallest routine to the most consequential decision, becomes a building block in the larger structure of your vision. Purpose transforms motion into meaning, turning repetitive tasks into expressions of commitment, and consistency. Walking through life with intention turns survival into creation and chaos into a canvas for growth. Story. A teacher spent years feeling unfulfilled, exhausted by the routines of grading papers and managing classrooms. She loved children, but often felt that her work lacked impact. One day, she reflected on why she became a teacher in the first place: to nurture curiosity, inspire confidence, and give students a safe space to grow. By reconnecting with this why, she began to approach her daily responsibilities differently. Each lesson, each interaction, became an opportunity to live her purpose. The exhaustion remained, but it was now infused with meaning, and she felt energized by the difference she was making in the lives of her students. Purpose and resilience are deeply connected. Life inevitably brings challenges, setbacks, and disappointments. Without a sense of meaning, these obstacles can feel insurmountable, capable of derailing hope and motivation. Yet when your actions are anchored in purpose, difficulties are reframed as lessons, opportunities, and catalysts for growth. Purpose provides a lens through which adversity gains context, helping you persist when others might give up. The more clearly you understand your why, the more resilient you become. Intentional living also requires conscious decision-making. Every choice becomes an opportunity to align with purpose or drift into distraction. Small decisions, how you spend your time, who you spend it with, which commitments you accept, either reinforce your vision or erode it. Awareness of these choices is essential. Living with intention is less about grand gestures and more about consistent alignment in the everyday moments that accumulate into a life of meaning. Gratitude and reflection are allies in this process. By regularly assessing your actions against your values, you notice when life aligns with purpose and when it strays. Journaling, meditation, or quiet contemplation allows you to clarify your priorities, recognize progress, and make adjustments. Reflection transforms habits into conscious tools for living intentionally rather than unconscious patterns that waste energy and time. Purpose also expands beyond the self. When you live intentionally, your energy and influence ripple outward. Your presence impacts others, your actions inspire, and your values shape the environment around you. Meaning is amplified when connected to contribution, whether through relationships, work, creativity, or service. The life that aligns with purpose is not only fulfilling for you, it elevates those who cross your path. Story. A young entrepreneur built a thriving company focused on sustainable products. Beyond profit, she intentionally embedded her values into every decision, from sourcing materials ethically to supporting her team's growth. Challenges arose: financial pressures, market competition, and operational setbacks, but her sense of purpose kept her grounded. Decisions were easier to make because they were filtered through a lens of intention. Her company not only succeeded financially, but became a reflection of her values and vision, positively impacting the community and environment. Intention transforms momentum into direction. Motion without purpose is effort without meaning, busy work without impact. By setting clear intentions for each day, you channel energy into outcomes that align with your deeper vision. Intentional living is the practice of connecting thought, emotion, and action so that every moment contributes to a coherent narrative of growth and fulfillment. Living with purpose also demands courage. It requires standing in your truth, resisting external pressures, and choosing paths that may differ from expectations. Often the meaningful path is not the easiest or most convenient, yet it is the one that cultivates fulfillment and alignment. courage and purpose are intertwined. The clarity of why fuels the bravery required to act consistently, even when obstacles, doubt, or opposition arise. Balance is a natural companion to intention. Purpose does not mean relentless drive without rest or reflection. It requires integrating awareness, energy management, and discernment. Pauses for reflection, moments of joy, and the cultivation of mindfulness enhance the capacity to act intentionally. Without balance, purpose risks becoming rigid or exhausting. With balance, it becomes sustainable, resilient, and deeply fulfilling. Exercise. Begin each morning with a reflection on your intentions. Ask yourself, what is the most meaningful action I can take today? How can I align this day with my deeper purpose? Throughout the day, return to this reflection, noticing how choices, interactions, and responses align with or drift from your intention. Over time, this practice strengthens your ability to live purposefully, moment by moment. Purpose is also fluid. Life changes, circumstances shift, and values evolve. True intentional living is adaptable. It honors your core vision while allowing for growth, learning, and transformation. Flexibility does not dilute purpose. It refines it, keeping you aligned with who you are becoming rather than who you once were. The process of discovering and living purpose is ongoing, a journey rather than a destination. Ultimately, living with purpose and intention is an act of self-respect. It honors your values, your time, and your energy. It transforms everyday life from routine to meaningful, from reaction to creation. Purpose integrates who you are with what you do, connecting the internal compass with external action. It is the bridge between potential and manifestation, between dreams and lived reality. When purpose guides action, happiness is no longer contingent on external circumstances. Fulfillment emerges from alignment. Clarity arises from reflection, and resilience grows from commitment. Life becomes less about random events and more about coherent direction, where each moment is imbued with meaning. The energy of purpose transforms challenges into opportunities, setbacks into lessons, and motion into mastery. By living intentionally, you step fully into the life you were meant to lead. Daily choices are no longer small or insignificant. They are threads woven into a larger tapestry of meaning. Each action becomes a declaration of values, each decision a reflection of vision, each moment a step toward the life you deserve. Purpose transforms ordinary existence into extraordinary living, and intention ensures that every step is deliberate, thoughtful, and aligned. Living with purpose and intention is a lifelong practice, a continual return to clarity, alignment, and reflection. Each day provides the opportunity to reconnect with your why, to evaluate your actions, and to choose in ways that reinforce vision, growth, and fulfillment. The practice is not about perfection, but about consistency, awareness, and courage. In doing so, you create a life that is coherent, meaningful, and deeply satisfying.